the internet here? Can we get on the internet or not?
Yes, you can.
Waiting for anybody? All right. Call to order. Good afternoon. I call to order the July 27, 2026 meeting of the Civil Service Board at 2:01 p.m. Let's see. Who shall we pick today? Will Mr. Illman lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Board Member Ellman.
Here.
Board Member Noble.
Present.
Board Member Williams.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Wolf.
Here.
Chairperson Collins.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Good. Announcements. Do any of my colleagues have any announcements?
I believe we have a new Civil Service Commission
Yes.
member, and I want to welcome you to the commission. I hope it's a pleasurable and productive experience for you, and I wonder if you could just tell us a little bit about your background.
Oh, my background. Hi, I'm Becky Noble. We have lived, thank you, all over the South Bay since 1983. I'm a mother of 3 daughters, all of whom are in their 30s and 40s. We just had 5 weeks of summer vacation at the Club Noble on 17th Street. So the kids are gone as of yesterday. We have grandkids 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and 15. I'm a licensed school psychologist, and for the last 20-some years, I worked at Chadwick School. Thanks for asking.
Where's Chadwick?
It's in Palos Verdes, California. It's a private K through 12 school with about 850 students.
And are you still working there?
I am not. I am retired.
Oh, good. So, all right, well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And I just also want to acknowledge and thank Kate Jones, our departing member, for her service on the commission.
Oh, yes. I was sad to learn that she didn't want to re-up. So, all right, public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone for public comment in person or by Zoom?
We received no speaker cards and no hands are raised online.
All right, let's see, consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar, which I believe consists of simply the minutes of the last meeting?
Actually, Mr. Chair, I'd like to pull item 6A
All right,
for discussion. It's about the minutes. And before I get into specifics, I want to define the standard that I'm using. So minutes exist so that a member of the public, just who wasn't in the room, can read them and understand what actually happened and know what the board decided. And I don't think these minutes meet that bar, and I just want to briefly walk through 2 examples. I promise I'm concise here. So 2 examples. I have a couple of substantive concerns about how the minutes were prepared. For example, item 6 notes that board member Williams asked a question about the vote on Vice Chair Wolf's appointment and requested that the vote be reflected in the minutes, but the vote itself was never actually recorded anywhere in the documents. Just another example, items 7A and 7B both state that a motion was made and carried, but neither includes a roll call vote, whilst item 6A in the same set of minutes does include one. So in addition to these kind of substantive, these are just examples. So in addition to these kind of substantive examples, there's other issues of like consistency and formatting that I don't want to get in the weeds today because it'll be a mess if we try to do this by voice. So I'm offering to sit down with the staff after the meeting and just to go through the minutes in detail so we can bring back a clean, complete set that uses a consistent format that we can just replicate for other meetings.
So are you suggesting that we not approve these until those corrections are made?
Correct. And I am offering to help. What I see is, and I don't mean this, I feel like this is a persistent issue for all the meetings I've been to. So I'm just offering to sit down and just like, let's just make a clean format. So I have a motion. I'm going to move to continue item 6A.
I have a question
sorry.
about your motion before you proceed. Thank you. I'm wondering, does that mean that these the reviewed and edited minutes will return to this committee to respond to?
It is because I can't even comment honestly on the minutes because they're just, it won't work logically. So yes, I am offering to sit down, make a clean version that would then be presented. Hopefully there'll be,
I'm just wondering, so would we vote on them again at that point? That's the question.
Let me suggest that you make a motion to continue item 6A until the next board
I
meeting.
have such a motion. I wrote this all down, right? I move to continue item 6A and direct staff to bring back a corrected version that addresses things like the vote on Vice Chair Wolf's appointment, the roll call vote details on 7A and 7B, and other items that I'll follow up with staff on directly, and then bring them back for approval later.
Fine, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Wait, I just have one additional comment on the motion. I wasn't here at the last meeting, and I take my attendance very seriously. I informed staff of my scheduling conflict, so I just would like when we do revise the minutes that they just reflect that Member Wolf was absent due to a scheduling conflict. And I also want to thank staff for their efforts for this meeting to give us plenty of advance notice and to work with us to make sure that we had a meeting time that we were all able to attend. One of the problems that we have with our regularly scheduled meetings on the third Wednesday of every month, they have been so irregular in the past that even though I had it on my calendar, I had just made an assumption, which turns out to have been inaccurate, that last month's meeting would not be held because in the absence of advance notice. So I just hope that in the future, I know it's difficult maybe to figure out in advance, but it's hard to calendar when you don't know whether something that's on your calendar is going to happen or not. And again, I want to express I know for this meeting that it took some effort from staff to come up with a time. And again, it's reflected in the fact that we have all the members of the commission on it. I want to thank you for doing that.
Of course.
So,
No problem at all.
On your point, this is a great example. I believe that minutes should show what actually happened, right, at a meeting. So this is some minor nuance, but if no one raised your point about you couldn't be there, right, that would not be on the minutes from the last meeting. That would be on the minutes from this meeting, right? These are just small things that I just want us to get more accurate. So when I come back with minutes from last meeting, if no one made that kind of comment, then they would not be in there, but they would be on this.
The attendance would still be on.
Sure. But it sounded like he wanted a little acknowledgement.
I see.
All right, well, we do have a motion on the floor, so all in favor? Member Wolf?
Yes.
Member Ellman?
Yes.
Member Williams? Member Noble?
Yes.
And I, Member Collins, so yes as well, motion carries. So the minutes of the last meeting will be carried over to our next meeting and hopefully corrected to the satisfaction of the board members. Item 7, matters for commission consideration. Item 7A, request to approve revisions to lead special events and filming coordinator job specifications 26-AS-078. Mr. Tyler?
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. So before I pass this over to Director Nichols to go a little bit further into the reasons behind these two retitling of these job specifications, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the classification and compensation procedures here at the City of Hermosa Beach and the Civil Service Board. So ultimately, with the new Civil Service Board member on board, I thought this would be a great time to kind of go over what the duties are of the Civil Service Board, which ultimately right now there is one duty of the Civil Service Board, and that is looking at the job specifications that are brought to your attention for revision or addition to the city. And ultimately, at the context of the job specification, you are double checking to make sure it meets city standards. So that's to the duties that are on the job specification, determining whether that's at the need of the city in your opinion, determining whether the education and experience in your opinion is going to be, it's going to meet what the job is, especially when it comes to our benchmark cities and also other cities that you've had experience with, and if it's similar in that regard as well. So ultimately, across the board, when you're looking at a job specification, either if it's an addition, so something that's never been created before, or a revision, it's at the context of what you're seeing on the job specification that is what you're voting on today. And then if it does get passed by the Civil Service Board, it then gets brought to City Council, where they then take a look at that to determine if it's a need of the city in relation to the classification, the compensation of the classification, and then also if it is able to be put into the budget if it's not already approved in the budget as well. Okay. And so at this point, I will pass it over to Director Nichols, who will talk specifically about these two job specifications and the revisions of them both.
Thank you, Tyler. Good afternoon, board members. The Parks and Recreation team currently consists of a lead special events and filming coordinator and a special events and filming coordinator. This presentation that I have before you, the PowerPoint, provides the report for both item 7A and 7B on your agenda, as it's similar information as I'm sure you saw in the staff report for those items. If we need to go over this presentation again for item 7B, I can certainly do so, but I wanted to make that clear that this presentation will be attached to both of those.
Go right ahead.
It's not turning. Advance to the next slide here.
Yeah, I think you're aiming at the wrong thing.
Yep. Still not going.
It's on your screen.
Okay. All right, so again, tonight we are recommending the retitling of these positions. So the lead special events and filming coordinator to lead special events and filming coordinator to recreation coordinator 2, and the special events and filming coordinator to recreation coordinator 1. And at City Council's June 23rd meeting through the fiscal year 2026 to 2027 budget adoption, both these positions are approved as they're currently titled for the Parks and Recreation Department. Within the budget, it was noted for City Council awareness that the retitles and revisions to the job specs would be presented to the Civil Service Board and City Council at a later meeting. These revisions are not to create a new position, but to consolidate repetitive language throughout the current job specs and replace highly specific and program-based language with broader language, while still maintaining the current responsibilities of these positions. In addition, they do capture the work that is currently being performed as additional duties as assigned in the current job specs. It details it out a little bit more in the proposed job specs. And it also modernizes the language and has revisions under the education, experience, knowledge, skills, and abilities requirements to better align with the comparable classifications for rec coordinators in other cities and better to meet the needs of the Parks and Rec Department. Within each staff report for each position, we have included a table that lists how the duty is currently listed in the current job spec and how it will apply, that duty applies to the same duty in the proposed job spec. So it shows really that we're not changing any of the responsibilities, we're just broadening the language and consolidating some of the language is how it is in the current.
Are there any changes in the requirements for the position?
There are. It puts it more broad to be recreation-based, and that could be a lot of different things. And so it still captures what was already in the current one. It just makes it a little bit more broad as well.
And these changes don't affect the salary?
They do not affect the salary, no. Okay, so on this slide before you, you can see what the two current positions' responsibilities are. So it's not only the special event and filming permit programs, it's also the chamber events agreement, our Kiwanis Tree Lot agreement, the farmers market agreement for the Friday farmers market that we have over at the Clark Complex. It's the department-hosted events that we do, so that's events like the Surfers Walk of Fame weekend, the Veterans Day ceremony. We do community movie nights a few times a year, and we have a sand snowman contest, events like that that we actually staff and produce as a department. And then recreation program support and facility management support. And also front office support, and this is a big one to note because we are this fiscal year reducing the part-time budget. So while these two positions currently provide front office support, so that's answering phones, being at the counter for anyone that comes by to, apply for programs or a membership, they're currently doing that, but it's going to be expanded and more frequently because of the fact that we have reduced our part-time budget. So I wanted to point that out with that last item there. So we share these responsibilities for informational purposes to just demonstrate how the current responsibilities of these positions are just not limited to special events and filming, and how the current title and job specs should be edited to acknowledge the full scope of responsibilities of these two positions. And again, I know we mentioned it earlier, but to close, we are not proposing a salary change. It would remain the same. So it's just the job spec and the title. And that does conclude my staff report.
I just wanted to clarify one question, or my understanding anyway, which is all of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think 7 additional listed duties have already, has anyone else been performing those other than those two job positions currently?
So the ones that other people would be supporting are like department-hosted events are split up between full-time staff. So each full-time staff member has a department-hosted event, at least one that they're in charge of. So this is kind of one that expands across every full-time. Even myself, I'm the concert series, right? That's mine. So each of us have something that we are overseeing in the first point of contact for. So that goes across the board. So the other thing is recreation program support. There's many avenues of programs that we offer. We have permit programs, we have the contract class program, we provide our own, so that's also something that spreads across all staff. And the front office support is a team effort as well. We are very busy at the community center. We have, the Hermosa 5.0 Senior Activity Center that we made. So those are the three that are kind of spread out amongst the whole fund.
Do I understand correctly that the jobs currently perform these duties?
Yes.
So this is just a matter of listing them for clarity?
Yes, just to show that it expands more than just special events and filming.
I have a number of questions. I'll just ask them all, and then you can, what I hope are all of them, and then you can answer them as you think appropriate. When were these existing positions created? That's question number one. Were they intended to kind of be revenue neutral or generate funding that would pay for the positions? And has that circumstance changed? That's question number two. Question number three is the existing titles and job classifications, are those I don't know what the government term is for industry standard, but do those exist in other cities, special events coordinators? And do the proposed titles of recreation coordinator 1 and 2, are those kind of uniformly standard positions that somebody who's applying for the job would understand what those duties would be? Or is this something that is unique to Hermosa Beach? And my final question, apologize for all of them, is do we have recreation coordinators as a name currently in for other people within the department? So thank you for all. I'm sorry.
No,
sorry to load all of those on you.
All great questions. So I believe it was a 2024-25 fiscal year, or was it the 20?
Yes. So on June 11th, 2024, the budget was adopted by the City Council. And in that budget adoption, these two positions were placed into the budget to be approved with that entire budget. And I did review the meeting because of last meeting to determine what was stated in terms of whether they were intended for X, Y, and Z. And it appears that there was no discussion about these two positions at that time on that June 11th, 2024 meeting, except for, at the time, Mayor Massey and at the time, Councilmember Detoy saying that they were very appreciative and very happy that Community Resources, which was the department name at the time, was receiving the staffing help that they needed. And then after that, on July 9th, 2024, the two job specifications were placed onto the consent calendar for City Council approval, which were neither pulled. So at that time, there was no discussion on these two positions either. So at least when it comes to City Council, from my review of the meetings where these were adopted and also the job specifications were created, there was no discussion about the intent of these positions.
Could I make a comment on that? I took your advice. I went back and looked at the YouTube videos of meetings, and I found it actually was discussed on the June 4th budget study session. So during the June 4th budget study session, the city manager actually was the one who pulled up a slide which talked about the lead special events and film. I'm looking at the slide. Filming coordinator and special events filming coordinator. And she said that the cost, it would basically be cost neutral. It would be covered by an incremental $55,000 of incremental film revenue the first year. And the rest of it would be covered by, I guess there were $241,000 of fee waivers. And it was said that a lot of those fee waivers could be approached, attacked, withdrawn. And that would make up the rest of the total at the time. The salaries and benefits were $192,000 between the two, less the $55,000 for the film, and the rest of it was going to be covered by revenue, non-fee waivers, and future fiscal, in future fiscal years, kind of shortening it a little bit. So there was kind of a if-then mainly with those. So I guess to follow up on Bob's question. Did film revenue increase? Do we have a history? You may not have it handy, but it would probably be helpful if we had a history of what our film revenue was maybe a few years prior to, and then what it became. Is that something that I'm guessing you don't have that?
What's the relevance of that, though? This is simply a title change.
Well, because the relevance, unless you want to speak, Bob, or let me. The relevance is that the City Council created these two positions under the understanding that they were going to be covered by dollars, and by maybe job description creep. Now we are.
But this, again, this is simply...
Let me finish.
This is simply a title change.
I understand, Doug, but I'm going to explain, okay, Doug?
You're going off the on
Yes.
a tangent.
Well, let me finish, then you can give me your opinion. So then a new position would have to be approved by the City Council. I think that would be my perspective. Rather than changing titles and changing duties, I think it'd be important for the City Council to know that their original jobs, which we approved as a council, as a commission, we approved that maybe didn't happen as it was budgeted and covered by these, and maybe it was, but I don't know if we have that information today. But it seems like that that sort of information should have been reviewed. Maybe it was at some point. Have we ever reviewed with the City Council how much our film revenue? We've shown them a graph of film revenue over time or event revenue over time. Have they ever been informed about that kind of stuff?
I just have one.
Just from
I'm with him right now. I guess I'm not really understanding what that has. It's a great question, And I would add to that question, let's see, like, how is it offset by other reductions in expenses, et cetera? How did that paper trail go?
Right.
But right now, I believe our committee's responsibility is to determine an okay or not okay, the job change, description.
That's true.
And so any of your questions, they're wonderful questions, but I believe they should be addressed to the city council.
Well, I think if this is a new job position,
No, it
It's
isn't.
not.
It is not.
well, I
These
think
are
it might
exist-
be. That's
these
why
are-
I'm posing it might be.
Okay, let me ask you, are these new positions or are these existing positions that are simply being renamed?
These are existing positions that are simply being renamed.
Right. Well, I disagree with that, and
No,
we can,
how
and
do
we
you-
can,
what-
and we can
on
vote.
what- On what basis do you disagree with it? These are the people that are, you're making up shit.
Excuse me.
Yeah, we
Can I
don't need
raise
to
my
talk
hand?
like that.
And-
Okay. What,
I want to make sure my other questions get answered as well.
Yes,
They were just
certainly.
informational. Thank you.
here's what I'm seeing, somebody can tell me if I'm wrong. I'm seeing, I really appreciate the issue that Ira's bringing up, and here's how I see it. I am seeing that in 2024, when I wasn't involved in this discussion, there was, it sounds like two positions created under the belief that they would be revenue neutral. And so I think that that didn't in fact happen. They're not revenue neutral, is that what I'm hearing?
No, I don't know.
We don't know. So before we just embed them and take them as given, we should consider whether or not they met the intent for which they were created. And I think your point, Becky, is that maybe this isn't our purview.
It's not.
But I do think it's a really important discussion, and I feel like we're doing a good public service by
Can I-
revisiting things. So I appreciate the
Well,
discussion.
No, wait a minute, wait a minute,
stop.
wait a minute. I'm the chairman, you be quiet. We're going way off the scope of this commission's authority. Those budget questions are for the council.
That is
We
correct.
have nothing to do with that. Zero, zip, none. These classes are already existed. They're filled by employees, they're being paid by the city. That changes, that's not going to change. The pay is going to stay the same. The job requirements stay the same, the job duties stay the same. The only thing before this board is the city's request to change the name of the two classes. And that is way different from all the stuff that you guys are raising. The only question here is whether it's appropriate to change it. I have not heard any argument against doing that. The city recommends it. Our job is to say that's okay, because it doesn't affect anything else.
I would also like to provide some context that in the budget book, every year, the revenue and expenditures are listed out. And so they are aware of where the expenditures and the revenue is. And City Council does have the purview at any point in time during every budget adoption to ultimately remove any type of position, whether it's already been established or not, from the future budget. So if they saw that revenue wasn't up or these positions weren't being utilized in the way that they were intended or that they've evolved to, then they would have the ability to remove the positions from the city entirely. And at that point, there would have to be other discussions happening there, but it's ultimately up to the city council to decide which positions go into the next budget cycle and which positions go into the next fiscal year and which ones don't. So they have reviewed that. They have reviewed and seen that these positions do have they're very important to the city. And as mentioned before in the last meeting, that positions do evolve over time. So as you can see here on this slide, there are many more additional duties than just special event permit program, promotional activation programs, and film still photo permit programs. There's also a lot of things that have happened since 2024 that Parks and Recreation didn't even have created at that point. So now these positions help not only with the still photo and special event permit program, but also much more than that, including the recreation program support and the facility management and everything along those lines too. And then one last thing is that, as we've discussed before, there is a 10% reduction in this year's budget, which required the city to get very creative in the ways that they were going to support staff and also support the community. And so these positions are going to be supporting the community a lot more, where the part-time staff used to do that, but now we're not doing that anymore because we needed to reduce the budget by 10%. So not to bring the budget back into this, because As Chairman Collins said, that is not in the purview of the Civil Service Board, but it is something that we had to get creative with, and that's what these two positions, as well as the other full-time staff, are assisting with at this point, which is just case in point that these positions are evolving over time.
If I could just, I would like my questions answered, but my perspective is kind of a synthesis of everybody's views. I agree with staff and the chair about what our purview is and our responsibility. We're not a budget. We don't, when we review positions, we don't consider the necessity, but we do have responsibilities, as you identified, in terms of looking at the duties. And it's a good thing if it turns out that there's a position where the department might be short-staffed or there's duties that need to be added to the person's responsibility. That is something that is totally within our authority, and we should do. So this is a good thing. I'm glad that we brought it before this commission. But one of the things that I think is important for everybody to understand, as anybody who sat through the city council meetings know, they have a huge budget, they have a huge agenda, and a very limited amount of time and attention. So even though I think when we vote on things, we need to be very mindful of what our responsibilities are, I think our discussions here, when things come up, can have a very important public benefit for allowing concerns to be addressed, raised in the community, and addressed by staff. So I don't think our discussion is out of order, but I think when we come to the vote about these things, we should be very mindful of what our job responsibilities are. So I do think that Commissioner Ellman's questions are very appropriate for the discussion, but that might not necessarily inform how he or other commission members ultimately vote. So that's my point of view. I think our responsibility is to reduce the pressures and time constraints on our city council by airing things that maybe by the fact that we air them, that we don't have to take up the council's time, and they can just be aware of the fact that they were discussed here. But my final point is, when this does go to city council, I hope that the city council and staff makes the city council mindful of the fact that when we approve something, we approve it within our responsibilities, and we are not expressing an opinion on things that are beyond our purview. And council might not be aware, because they have so many things, that, oh, it was approved by the Civil Service Commission, therefore nobody needs to examine the larger issues. I'm sorry that I'm so discursive about that, but I think there are important things to be mindful of.
You're exactly right. What we do here doesn't affect the salary, it doesn't affect the hours, it doesn't affect the job requirements. It's simply a matter of what we're going to call the position. Period. That's it. And that's all we're being asked to vote on. And all of this is tangential to that and not within this board's authority, period.
I would like to speak before we continue with your substantive questions. And I agree with what you said, but I feel like I agree with pretty much everything you said, but I still feel compelled to speak briefly because I think it's an important point. I think Becky asked, and I restated, and I think you confirmed, like, wait, is this out of the scope of our action, what we can act on, right? And everybody agrees, we're not acting on anything out of our scope. That's the one point. The other point is, I think the discussion is very important, so I want to be sure that we are clear that we have a duty to talk about these things. And so that's where I would disagree pretty strongly with the chair. I think we're being good public servants, and there's no harm in talking about things, and nobody is proposing any motion outside of what we have the authority to act on. So
But again, the only thing we have the authority to act on here, and thus the only thing that's appropriate for this board to talk about and consider, is the request by the Personnel Department of this city to change the title of 2 existing classes. And everything else beyond that is not within our purview, and it is not appropriate for us to be discussing publicly.
I'm going to
If you don't-
respect.
If you don't like, if you want to raise those questions, go to the council meeting and speak as a citizen.
Well, I'm going to pull my attorney hat here. I do think they are, I'm going to agree with myself. I think they are germane to the discussion, but we also have to be mindful of our
Now,
vote.
explain to me how they go.
And I think I would prefer to discuss the merits rather than discuss these.
Okay,
sign-
but again, there's only one question, and that's the title change. Explain to me how the things that you're trying to raise have anything to do with the title.
I just want to say, I will never apologize for having a important discussion that raises issues.
All right,
and
let's talk
honest-
about what
Excuse me.
salary, let's talk about what
Excuse
the
me.
salary should be. Let's talk about what
Excuse
what
me.
the requirements for the job should be.
We have spent more time arguing about whether anything was appropriate than we could have been done with this. I think I'm going to say at least four of us think this was an important brief thing to raise. Nobody's trying to act outside of our authority. And I'm just discouraged and disheartened that I feel like we can't have a honest, responsible, quick discussion that has gone on far longer than it needed to.
Let me just to tap onto what Bob and Tyler said. One is, I totally agree with Bob. I'm kind of a city council nerd of watching the meetings, and especially the budget meetings, in that they have that study session, which is an hour or two on the budget. Not too much gets accomplished. Maybe there's some information given out. And then they approve the budget, and usually there's only a couple changes made. There's very little detail ever discussed, including every position. I think, personally, I think each department head should come up and justify every person in their department. That just doesn't happen here. It's just the way we operate. And so they're not going to scrutinize those two positions. They approved Lisa's budget as a whole, but they didn't say, oh yeah, we approve this position, that position. They approved the budget as a whole. And just like last year, this year's approval process lasted an hour or so to approve a $56 million budget. And just a small correction, I don't believe that they ever put in a 10% cut in their budget. But
There's a lot that happens behind the scenes, which is how that 10% reduction was put into place. And so every department, I was privy to it. Director Nichols was privy to it. We had many meetings regarding this 10% budget deficit or budget reduction. And it was all staff working behind the scenes very hard. And so the budget that was presented to City Council was that 10% reduction per department. So for example, we have historically for 10, 20 plus years had a human resources department of 3 plus an intern, which was a human resources manager, human resources analyst, and a risk management analyst. The human resources intern has been completely discarded from our budget because we needed to reduce our 10%. And then also the analyst has been reduced to a human resources technician, which is requiring the human resources manager to do a lot more work on top of what they're already doing. But that is something that the administrative services department decided to do that wasn't brought forward to council saying, do you approve of this change? It was the behind the scenes work of us saying, this is what's going to bring us to that 10% reduction. We are now going to present this to council. Also, I'm a little privy to be very cautious of talking about what council did and didn't think of when it comes to the budget, because they also do a lot of work behind the scenes that isn't solely in closed or open session or in any of these study sessions as well. They're doing a lot of work at home, looking at all of the different documents that are being sent to them on a daily basis. So it's very likely that a lot of these positions, a lot of this budget was reviewed and talked about, or not necessarily talked about, but reviewed by each council member before coming to the open session as well. So I just want to be very cautious on talking about what their thought process was or what really was considered in the budget as well.
we'll just agree to disagree on that. I don't believe there ever was a 10% cut. It was presented at the city council meeting, but that's another day, so.
But if I could just go, could you just, is recreation coordinator, is that a term of art that's generally understood?
It definitely is. It's a very common term in the field of Parks and Recreation.
Okay. So just speaking substantively, I actually think when this is a wise move if it turns out that you are short-staffed and you need to utilize the resources that you have in the most efficient way. And that is something that is within our purview to say this is an appropriate expansion. But I do think it's important when this does go to council that people understand the context of our, assuming that we approve both of these staff recommendations, that they are within our authority. And we're not passing judgment on anything beyond that. I think it's important for people to understand that.
Well, then, that-
Thank you.
Let's frame the motion that way, just make a motion to approve the title changes for the two classifications in question.
And the job descriptions, too. It's not just title changes.
What job description changes are there?
It's redlined in your document.
Yeah, it's the table in each of the staff reports outlines how the language is a little bit more broad. If you look at the current job specification, it's very specific to programs, literally lists program names, but that can change over time. And if we eliminate a program or add a new program or change its name every single time we did so, if we kept the current job spec, we would have to come back to you all to change it. So it's giving us more broad language, which is way more common as Parks and Recreation is constantly evolving.
Yes.
But I do have to state, we need two separate motions. Even though I presented the item as one,
Yes, okay.
yeah.
No, there are two items on the agenda. so
We'll need public comment.
And yeah, we'll need public comment for each item.
Is there any public comment on item 7A, request to approve revisions to the lead special events and filming coordinator job specs?
We do have one hand raised online. Laura Pena, your 3 minutes begins when you start speaking.
Hi, yes, Laura Pena. Hello, Civil Service Board members. I appreciate the lively discussion that you guys have had. I saw this item on the agenda and I thought I would share a perspective from somebody with performance management background and a current business owner. And I understand that the reasons for broadening the position, it makes sense. But I do have to agree with Board Member Ellman and Board Member Wolf. From a public's perspective, what we were told about these positions as being revenue neutral or at least generating revenue to help pay for them, according to the activity reports that I've reviewed over the past year, we don't seem to have much film activity or still photo activity. I know April is an active month, so I appreciate their follow-up questions. The filming and special events, these are not just permits to process, they can actually generate revenue. And with the city facing a structural deficit, I've been looking at items like this very differently. This position should be viewed as much of an economic role, not just simply an administrative role. One aspect that I think is missing from the job description is making it more explicit, proactive industry outreach as part of this job. That means actually building relationships with location managers, production companies, event producers. The goal should not be to wait for applications to arrive. The goal should be to make our city a place where industries actively want to do business. What producers and event organizers are looking for is fairly straightforward. They want a clear point of contact. They want quick and reliable responses. So when you look at the job description, Recreation Coordinator 2, taking out special events and filming is basically diluting the responsibility from a public point of view. I think this position should track practical outcomes. I think what Board Member Ellman was talking about, where is the revenue? I mean, not that this is within your purview, I do agree with that, but those are relevant questions. I think I support the idea of being flexible, but flexibility should not dilute the ownership, the accountability, or the economic opportunity. This job description tells the employee, it tells city leadership, and it tells the public what outcomes matter most. If proactive outreach, relationship building, and attracting appropriate filming and event activity are not clearly identified, those responsibilities can easily become secondary to day-to-day permit processing. This is why language matters. This lead position should not be defined only by the applications it processes. It should be defined by the relationships it builds, the opportunities that it attracts, and the measurable result it produces for our city. So make it clear that this position is responsible for opening doors, bringing appropriate opportunities to our city, and showing leadership that what these efforts can actually deliver. Thank you.
Is there another public comment?
Could I ask staff just for a reaction to the suggestion that for the lead, for the Recreation Coordinator 1, that there be a provision that talks about proactive development of opportunities?
There's one more public comment.
I believe we need to finish public comment first.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yes, we do have one more speaker coming up.
Hi, my name is Kaylin. You might have seen me up here for a few city council meetings I'm on. I'm actually supposed to be heading to a doctor's appointment right now, but I wanted to be here and just kind of, speak my piece to you guys about how our department operates. And in terms of these positions, I mean,
Excuse me, do you have a position with the city? Are you an employee?
Yes.
Would you identify what that is, please?
Yes, sorry, Kaylin Kamerly, lead special events and filming coordinator.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm going to run after this and go to my doctor's appointment. But, when I first took this position, I was completely inundated with work. I don't know how Lisa and Brian did this by themselves for as long as they did, especially Lisa doing every single level 1, 2, and 3 special events on top of film permits. And yes, filming, I can't speak to the numbers at the moment. Filming has been tough for every single city across the board. We met with the Film LA director, Donna Washington, recently. So we are trying to build those connections and whatnot, to Laura Pena's point, which I appreciate her bringing that up. And, I'm not lying to you, and I said I've been working 40 plus hours a week, nonstop, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Thursday in this position, to process every single special event permit, process every film permit. A month into the job, the television production that produces 911 came to the city and wanted to close down all these streets and film an episode here. And I think that generated $20,000 plus in revenue for the city. And I mean, I did that on top of doing movies on the beach, concerts on the beach, closing up the Hermosa Beach Open, closing up all these permits, and also trying to assist our office, our frontline office, answering phones, helping people at the counter. I actually helped board member Williams. I don't know if you remember me. I talked to you like a few months ago. You came to the community center. That's okay. That's okay. You had just told me you had gotten on the board for this. So yeah, I mean, I've been up here multiple times, stepping in for Director Nichols and giving staff reports on items that I had 5 minutes to prepare for, and I know what I need to do to keep this city turning and the wheels turning and keeping it afloat. And I do that because I love what I do, and I love this city, and I love its residents and the community. And this title change in the job classifications would really take us out of the pigeonhole that we're in right now, which is lead, special events and filming, because it's not just what we do. We do a lot more than that to support the community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there a motion?
Why don't you close public comment?
It's closed. There's no other requests for it.
Yes, there are no other speakers.
What?
There are no other
That's what I thought.
speakers.
I have just a couple more comments based on what she said. I think it would be healthy if the Parks and Rec Department periodically informed the community and the city council of film revenue, Clark Building revenue, special events revenue, and if something's going bad, let us know, right? And tell us what other things are going on in the world in these job descriptions. So we have these other. It sounds like she's a very busy, productive staff member, but tell us. Well, film revenue is down. We decided to. This should be publicly, not in closed session or somewhere private. We decided to reassign this person to other things because the Clark Building is not functioning. You're not renting out. So we're short revenue, so we're going to move people. I think it would pay for us to be transparent, which is a buzzword in the in the community, transparent with the residents as to what's going well and what's not going well. And I never hear that in any city council meeting.
I have a comment as well. I'm hesitating only because I really appreciate, Kaylin's comments. What's I'm feeling strange about right now is I have attended hundreds of public hearings, literally, in my prior life, and I just can't remember a time when a staff person, and I don't mean this to sound too harsh, I just can't recall a time when a staff person came to public comment to kind of make a plea like that. So I just wanted to note that. I don't know if anybody else, and again, I don't mean to be harsh or anything, I just wanted to observe that.
My last comment is, I'm not going to support the motion, maybe I'll be by myself here, but only because I think this is a position that is it's a new position, it's not a change, which is Doug Wyatt brought it up. I think it's a new position, and it shouldn't be a change of title, change of job description. It should be a new title that should go before city council.
Is there a motion?
I move that we accept the proposed job changes as is.
And I'll second that.
All right, are you making a motion on both 7A and 7B?
No, let's do them
Okay,
separately.
7A.
Yeah, let's do 7A first. Okay. So that, your motion is with?
7A.
7A. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait, no, we got to.
You do one at a
Yeah,
time.
the law
There's a little
requires this
evidence.
these days. Member Wolf?
Yes.
Member Ellman?
No.
Member Williams?
Yes.
Member Noble?
Yes.
And I, Member Collins, vote yes as well. Motion carries. Now we need a motion on the 7B.
I accept the motion of 7B being ratified as is.
All right, is there a second?
I'm sorry, what was the motion?
Would you restate your motion, please?
My motion is that we accept the description of job 7B as is.
Sorry, thank you.
Well, again, it's not of the job description, it's the job title.
No,
And description.
And description.
What-
Jo- Approve the revisions.
All right.
I know this is on a motion that we've already passed, but I would appreciate for purpose of if we could get a staff comment about public member Pena's suggestion about adding, or maybe it doesn't have to be a formal description, but just your reaction to maybe we already actively promote?
Yes,
not
we do.
just-
Just, I want to say last month or the month before, we were posting on our social media, encouraging filming in the city of Hermosa Beach. When we found out Baywatch lost their filming location, we actively reached out to them. We email all those who have worked with us over the past several years with any update to the filming program that simplifies the process. You know, we reduced the turnaround time from 14 days to 7 days. We emailed our whole contact list. That's something we do with the special event permit program as well. Annually, we reach out and say, hey, we're building the calendar. If you want to come back to Hermosa Beach, here's application due dates. So that's something that's actively happening with the special event and filming programs.
And just so I understand your comment, and I'm just trying to clarify, I'm not criticizing. So outreach is an email to prior partners, let's say, once a year, saying here are the changes.
And through the city's social media outlets and other communications, like the newsletter and announcements at public meetings like this.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, maybe just a request, as you evaluate how it's working out for the performance of the responsibilities under this new job description that we're recommending to council that we approve, whether any additional refinements would need to be made in the future. I think we would be happy to have it come back if you think that emphasizing something that's a little more proactive in terms of outreach and public relations would be appropriate to make sure to the person who's holding that position of Rec Coordinator 2, right? That's the one we just approved, Roman numeral 2, whether that should be important to emphasize those descriptions. just a suggestion for the future.
I appreciate that. I just want to clarify, we're not changing their job responsibilities. We're changing the job specifications, right? How it's listed, because we've just made it broader language, but nothing is changing for these positions of their day-to-day. It's just
But
the
they're
title.
changed with the writing of them.
Exactly.
The description has
The
changed. So
description has
job
changed,
yeah.
but it absorbs everything that they're currently doing. It just makes it less descriptive to listing program titles
Right.
in case things change with programs in the future, because that is something that's common with Parks and Recreation. You know, like I mentioned, it has long-term agreement program, fee waiver grant program. We might not have a fee waiver grant program in 2 years, and it's only absorbed through long-term agreement. So it's making it less detailed in that way, so we don't have to come back to you every time a program changes.
Right. Should I reformulate my motion?
Yes.
I propose that we accept job description 7B as per staff report. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Yeah, you should say yes.
I'll second that one as well.
All right, fine, let's see. All in favor, Member Wolf,
Yes.
Member Ellman,
No.
Member Williams,
Yes.
Member Noble,
Yes.
and I, Member Collins, vote yes as well, motion carries. That concludes the agenda for today's meeting. Could I have a motion to adjourn? Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, Member Wolf,
Yes.
Member Ellman,
Yes.
Member Williams,
Yes.
Member Noble,
Yes.
and I, Member Collins, vote yes as well. The City of Hermosa Beach Civil Service Board stands in adjournment.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for lively.
Love is a lesson that doesn't end. It knows no conditions, so you better buckle in. Love keeps you on your toes. It never stops, only grows. Love isn't easy, it's a commitment, especially when they're being their most resistant. Love is finding the right seat so you can take a breath. But remember, love isn't lax, it always double checks. Check that your kids are in the right seat at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed.